the FBI, the Sioux City Police Department in Iowa, the Minnehaha County Sheriff's Office in South Dakota, Nelson County Sheriff's Office in Kentucky, the Livingston Police Department here in California, New Orleans Police Department in Louisiana, the U.S. Marshals Service Fugitive Task Force in New York, and the 103rd Precinct Detective Squad of the New York Police Department. Each and every agency filled a critical role in this effort to apprehend those that are responsible for Zachary's death. And while this arrest is an important step forward, our work does not end here. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to one of our finest detectives, Pat Smith. But before I do, I have to note that Detective Smith has been working as an investigator for our agency for a number of years. And each year that goes by, he brings something new. He's got a very unique skill set, and he imparts that with his partners that he works with. And it wasn't just his effort, but he did lead the way to get us to where we are today. So I'm very proud that he is with our Sheriff's Office. I'm very proud to work alongside him. And I'll turn it over to Detective Smith for more details of this investigation. Pat.
Sheriff, thank you. Thank you for your support, your leadership. As always, is greatly appreciated. And thanks to the District Attorney's Office. Always value our relationship over the years, and thank you for your support. Want to give you a little bit of history of the case, and then what's brought us here today, how we got here. 32 years ago in 1993, June 17th, 1993, 30-year-old Zachary Jackson was found shot to death in his home in unincorporated Hayward, California. Unfortunately, his discovery was made by relatives of his when they hadn't heard from him in several days. During the initial investigation, the Sheriff's Office contacted neighbors, friends, associates of Zachary, and learned that he had last been seen on Monday, June 14th. And based on evidence at the scene, along with speaking with witnesses, we believe that he was murdered on Monday, June 14th, 1993. At the time, they did not locate any eyewitnesses to the shooting death of Mr. Jackson. However, during the canvass of the neighborhood, they did locate a neighbor who reported hearing gunshots, several rapid gunshots, either on Sunday evening, June 13th, or Monday evening, June 14th. During that initial investigation, investigators discovered that Zachary was in an ongoing dispute with his landlord, and that was kind of the theme in talking with friends, family, neighbors. They were all aware of this. So trying to look into his background of why someone would want him dead, that was where the focus was at the time, was on this dispute that he's having with the landlord. When Zachary was murdered, he had two children, a girl aged 4 and a boy aged 1. His 4-year-old daughter was in his custody, and his 1-year-old was in his mother's custody. The mother, they were never married, but the mother of his children is Veronica Fonseca, and she is one of the suspects in this case, and she's pictured here to my right. At the time, Ms. Fonseca was interviewed several times by our investigators, but there was nothing at the time that led them to believe that she had any involvement in this case. As you can imagine, in 1993, they did not have a lot of the things that we have available to us today investigatively to find leads. No electronic footprint like we have these days. They relied heavily on witnesses, fingerprints, that sort of thing. DNA was in its infancy. Without any viable leads after a few months of investigating, and any evidence linking them to a suspect, the case went cold. In 2014, so 21 years later, our investigators in the cold case unit received a phone call from someone who said they had information about who was responsible for Zachary's murder. And they identified the people responsible as Veronica Fonseca and her then boyfriend at the time of the murder, Anthony Fox. And he's also pictured here to my right. Investigators were aware that they were in a relationship back in '93, but Mr. Fox was not interviewed by our investigators at that time. After receiving this information, our cold case investigators started looking into this, looking into the case, and during the next year or so, they encountered, I'll say, a roadblock that kind of put the case on hold again, and they just couldn't get around it, and the case stalled out and didn't move forward. In 2021, we had a citizen leave an anonymous tip on our website, again identifying, saying that they knew who was responsible for Zachary's murder, and again they identified Ms. Fonseca and Mr. Fox as the persons responsible. I conducted an interview with that individual after identifying them, and they cooperated in telling us everything they knew. With still having this sort of impediment in the case, I really can't go into, but it was sort of something a hurdle we need to get past. The case really didn't move forward until this year, when we developed an investigative plan to try to bring this case forward to a chargeable state, as we believe the responsible parties were Ms. Fonseca and Mr. Fox. Over the last several months, there's been a lot of investigative resources poured into this case. As the sheriff mentioned, we've been to several different states. And during that time, we've located other witnesses who have cooperated with us, and they have told a similar story as to our previous tipsters, identifying Mr. Fox and Ms. Fonseca as the responsible parties for Zachary's death. This past month, we obtained a probable cause arrest warrant for Mr. Fox and Ms. Fonseca, and that was for murder. This past Thursday, November 6th, Ms. Fonseca was arrested by the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force in New York, in Queens, New York. About 2 hours after that, Mr. Fox was arrested by the Sioux City Police Department in Iowa. At this time, Ms. Fonseca is in custody at Rikers Island Jail in New York, awaiting extradition, and Mr. Fox is at the Woodbury County Sheriff's Office in Iowa, awaiting extradition. As the sheriff said, I may be the face up here today, but there's a lot of investigators that helped bring it to this point. I would be remiss if I didn't mention my partner in the cold case unit, Detective Roland Chevalier, better known as Chevy. Couldn't ask for a better partner. There's many detectives and deputies with the sheriff's office that helped in this case, and I want to thank them, as well as those who came before me in the cold case unit that I still stay in touch with, who worked on this case. I also want to thank my chain of command, because every time we ask to do something, as you can imagine, all these resources, they cost money. And we poured a lot into this thing. Every time I went to them, or me and Chevy went to them and said, hey, we need to do this, we need to go here, we need to go to Iowa, we need to go to Kentucky, they didn't bat an eye. They said, you got it, and gave us the green light. So I want to thank My supervisor, Detective Sergeant Robert Garrigan, in the Homicide Unit. Our Lieutenant of Investigations at Eden Township Substation, Sean Corey. Our Captain at Eden Township Substation, Captain Sean McMillan. Our Commander of our Law Enforcement Services Division, Commander Dave Blanchard. This is a good example of what happens when good people have the courage to come forward and tell law enforcement what they know, coupled with law enforcement leveraging all investigative resources to bring a resolution to this case. I think it's also a reminder to those who commit the ultimate crime, taking someone's life. There is no statute of limitations on murder. We may not get you tomorrow, next week, next month, but keep looking over your shoulder, because you never know when the long arm of the law is going to reach out and touch you, which has happened in this case. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to the District Attorney, Ms. Ursula Jones-Dixon.
So briefly, I'm just here to echo what has already been said. This really is a story of collaboration with law enforcement. I'm extremely grateful to all of the agencies. To be able to read off a list of agencies like this just tells you that the work never stops. We cannot forget that victims they desire and require closure in cases. And this is a case that took 32 years to get there, but all the same, we don't stop the work. So thanking the Sheriff's Department specifically, Yesenia Sanchez, the Sheriff, as well as all of the folks who worked on this case at the Sheriff's Office. Pat Smith is legendary, as we know, as a great investigator, but it is very nice to look out and see that across the country we can use resources to solve crimes. I just want to say that the District Attorney's Office is in collaboration with law enforcement to resolve cases so that victims get the closure they require. And I'm not going to talk much longer. I'm going to leave you to the leader of our organized crime unit, Jimmy Wilson, but just to say that this case will be charged and charged appropriately. I'll let him talk about that a little more. But I was going to say exactly what Pat just said. Murder has no limit on when we can charge you. So our expectation is that you know that we work in collaboration here in Alameda County, across the country. If you've committed the crime of murder, we're looking for you. We're coming for you. So I just wanted to say that. Mr. Wilson, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be brief in talking about the charges in this case. Both defendants are charged with murder. They are also charged with burglary, based on the facts that we know. Just to clarify some things when it comes to enhancements, they are only charged with 12022.5 because 12022.53 did not exist. It was put into effect, I think it was Senate Bill number 4 in 1997. So we couldn't charge 5.3, but we could charge total 2.5. Just to kind of talk about some of the history of this case. When Pat Smith brought this case to my attention, I was, I'll be honest with you, I was intrigued, and I went straight to my boss, Ursula Jones-Dixon, and she said, let's do it. Let's try to bring justice to the victim in this case, and that's what we did. This is long nights, hard work. It's never ending. As everyone else knows, this is a great agency, the Alameda County Sheriff's Department, and this is a great district attorney, Ms. Ursula Jones-Dixon, and working together, we're going to try to bring justice to Mr. Jackson. So I will allow.
Thank you. So at this time, we'll be taking some questions. Any questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, can you speak more to the motive of the crime if you kind of understand it have to do with the custody of the children?
Yeah, at least myself, I understand there'll probably be a lot of questions that you guys want answers to, and we'll try to answer them, but certainly don't want to try this case in the media, and I'll leave Jimmy to speak to more of that, but so some of the questions that we're probably not going to answer directly, especially relates to motive or specific evidence in this case, only because I think it'd just be inappropriate to go into details that were, again, there's still a future prosecution. We don't want to jeopardize that. You got anything more?
No, just that eventually, I believe this case is going to go to a jury, and we don't want to poison the jury pool. We want the only information that they get happens in the courtroom, so I don't think we could speak to that.
Can you say if both these individuals were present per se at the crime scene or just one of them, so which and what role the other may play?
Yeah, no, we believe they were both there, and that Mr. Fox was the one who pulled the trigger.
What was the new evidence that you were all put out a couple of weeks ago, a press release saying that there was new evidence that reopened this case? What was that? What the reason that you shared?
Yeah, people in the community coming forward and providing this information, which led us to believe there's other people who we believed had information. And I've just spoken with someone last night who had information. It was be very valuable to this case.
We'll go right over here. Yeah,
Yeah, I was sort of along the same lines, just how you were able to finally identify them after so many years, and why those witnesses maybe were not interviewed at the time at the original investigation.
At the time, Ms. Fonseca was interviewed. There was just nothing at the time, to the investigators' knowledge, that stood out to them as her possibly having a role in this. Mr. Fox was not. I can't speak to why he wasn't spoken to at the time. I forget the first part of your question again was.
The new evidence or the new sort of information, like why now are you able to prosecute these suspects when it's been so long?
Yeah, well, when someone comes forward and says, like I said in 2014, and said they knew who did it, and they had, because they had spoken to them about it, there's just a lot more things that you need to do to bring a case to a prosecutable state than just someone saying they'd heard something. So when you hear that, though, multiple times, it starts to help. But we knew we needed to get as much evidence as possible before making this arrest, so we had a case that could be prosecuted. Henry?
I'm sorry, I was just going to say, and briefly, the goal is to bring enough evidence such that we can prove a case beyond a reasonable doubt. And, to some extent, hearsay information from one party may not be enough to get there. But what we can say is that there has been other information, other witnesses. Initially, your question was, why didn't you talk to these other witnesses? In fact, Ms. Fonseca was spoken to. She's a suspect in the case now, was a witness at the time, but these other witnesses came about as the case unfolded. And so I think it's important to realize, and that is why this conversation is being had, that oftentimes cases take some time and a lot of energy and resources to build them to a point where we can prove them beyond a reasonable doubt. And that is only possible if we have the resources to get there. And people are willing to talk, see something, say something. And that is what has happened over the years as we've been able to gather enough information to do that.
I know you can't really speak in a motive, but can you confirm whether Mr. Fox's existence was known back in 93 or closer to 2014 or after that time? And can you say if there's any evidence of domestic abuse between Fonseca and Zachary? And is there a triangle? Is there any abuse by a victim that led to this connection?
First part of your question, like I said earlier, yes, Mr. Fox was known as the current boyfriend of Ms. Fonseca back in '93 when this happened. As far as the relationship Zachary's relationship with the mother of his children, Veronica, and their history, just something we're not going to go into right now. But obviously, we've dug up information as much as we could about their relationship in this case.
Are the suspects still together in a relationship currently?
No.
Take about 2 more questions.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I know you said that Fonseca is the mother or had custody of the 1-year-old. Is she also the mother of the 4-year-old?
Yes.
Can you speak at all more to how the investigation led you to so many other states? Like you mentioned, New Orleans, Kentucky, various places around the whole country. Were you following the suspects, new witnesses? If you could speak at all.
Yeah, both actually. So speaking to people that we believed had information in some of these other states, as well as to trying to verify the whereabouts of our suspects, which were in Iowa and New York. Yes.
Okay, that concludes our press conference. Thank you very much for being out here.